What's up, guys? It's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time, and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to your channel. In this particular video, we're going to be reacting to another video, and you probably do not know this YouTube channel. This is going to be Jonathan Kim Moss Golf. If you guys are in America, potentially you've heard his channel, but definitely I know you guys in Japan have not heard his channel. But I think he does a great job with his YouTube videos, and this particular video is going to be the 5 ways to eliminate the slice with the driver. So if you're interested in eliminating the slice with your driver, this is the perfect video for you, and let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you did not know, YouTube does not pay the bills, so if you want to help support this YouTube channel after the video is over, there will be a link down below. Click on that link, sign up for the Kiwi Platinum membership site. Not only will you get access to 330 plus videos, and we post 20 new videos every single month, but also you're really going to help support this YouTube channel. With that out of the way, let's go into the 5 ways to eliminate your slice with the driver.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So this week I want to share 5 things that you can do to help reduce the slice with the driver. Now I can't talk about this enough, but this question is probably asked more than anything else. And if you have a round tomorrow or next week and you don't have time to go to the range, then trying to apply any one of these 5 things should greatly reduce the odds of you slicing the golf ball.
All right, let's stop it here. So I think he's very clearly defined who the target audience is for. It's basically people who are hitting the driver, who are slicing the driver. For a right-handed golfer, that means the golf ball's curving off to the right too much. They're having a hard time controlling it. They're not really getting a very tight grid dispersion. You know, he didn't really necessarily say that, but I'm assuming that's what he means. And then from there, he's also talking about this is not really a long-term swing fix. This is more so kind of quick fix, band-aid fixes that in your next round, it's definitely going to help you out, especially if you don't really have a whole lot of time to practice. These things should definitely help you cure, not maybe cure the slice, but at least eliminate, or not, I shouldn't say eliminate, drastically limit the slice amount. There we go. Let's go and jump in.
So for those of you who may be unaware as to why you're slicing the driver, always remember that your club face is probably very open relative to the direction that you're swinging the club.
And let's further break that down. So he's really talking about club path there versus the face angle, right? Face to path. That just means your face to path is open or to the right or positive. To give you some examples here, let's say your club path is -7, your face angle, let's say, is -1. Typically for most people, even if you swing slow, that would be a pretty big slice or a lot of curvature off to the right. But that doesn't mean that you're swinging to the left, or sorry, it doesn't mean that you always have to swing to the left to hit a slice. You can also swing to the right and hit a slice as well. You could very easily have a club path of +2, face angle of, let's say, +7. Your face angle to the right of the club path by quite a lot, you're still going to hit a pretty big push slice in that particular example as well. The main thing is, whether you're swinging to the right or the left, your face angle is way too far open relative to the club path. That's why the golf ball is slicing or curving too far off to the right. And these tips that he's going to go over is going to help you get that face angle closer to the club path so you can reduce that amount of curvature. And again, this is going to be the quick fix band-aid approach. Let's continue.
So if you are a right-handed player, it is very likely that you're swinging across and to the left of the ball with a very open club face. So your goal is to shift the swing direction more out to the right with a more closed club.
All right, let's stop it there. So I do agree with what he's talking about there. Now, I don't think it's not necessarily something you have to do to reduce the amount of curvature. You could keep that -7 club path, but instead of having a -1 face angle, maybe having like a -4 face angle, you're still going to curve the golf ball off to the right. It's going to be a little bit of a fade, but the amount of curvature to the right would be reduced quite a lot, and it's probably going to be a whole lot easier to control. So even though you're swinging to the out to in, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to change the direction of the swing or the club path off to the right. You mainly just have to get that face angle closer. And then from there, if you do want to completely eliminate the curvature to the right, well, then maybe you would want to get your club path closer to at least 0, or maybe even on the positive side so you can see an opposite curvature. But it's not necessarily something you have to do, right? Because again, at the end of the day with golf, it's really not about what curvature you're hitting. It's more so how close are the grouping of shots, right? So that's just something I think that should be added to this video. But let's continue into the first point on how to fix this slice.
How open or closed the club face is, you always start off with the grip. So I have a marker here.
Okay, so the first point he's going to be getting into is going to be the grip. He says you always have to start off with the grip. This is something that I heavily disagree with, because a lot of times in lessons, at least for my clients, because they're typically on the better side, we never really go over grip that much, because for the most part, grip, all you got to do is get the grip, place them in the fingers at the right spot, angle off slightly, close the fingers, close the palms. And as long as the grip is in the correct placement in the fingers, it doesn't really matter where the placement of the hands are. I don't see too many people that actually place the hands in such a weak position that we actually do need to change it, right? Most people are pretty close to neutral, maybe slightly weak or maybe slightly strong. But most of the time, the grip is not the case or not really the major issue when it comes to hitting a slice. Now, I think the type of clients he's teaching could be more so what I've used to see in America as well, who really have open face angles and really struggle with squaring the face. So this is why he's starting the grip with them. And he's going to be trying to get them into a really, really strong grip, which you're about to see here in a second. So I think he's really basing it off the type of clientele that he's personally seeing, which I do agree, because when I taught in America, I saw way more slicers than I see in Japan. Completely different issues typically here in Japan than what I see predominantly in America. So this is who he's making the video for.
And I'm going to draw 2 dots on my palm, or my lead palm, and then show you where to place those dots on the grip. And that should change your hand position or give you a guide on how to place your lead hand on the grip correctly. So the first dot on the palm, you're going to want to place right on the meat of your palm, kind of right in the center, okay? So if I go ahead and draw a dot there, okay, that's where it should be, right in the middle of.
Okay, so I like where this video is going because he's giving you some very clear visual checkpoints, and then also this visual checkpoint will lead into a kinesthetic checkpoint or kind of a feeling checkpoint, because you can see where you're supposed to place that dot on the grip, which he's going to talk about here in a second. And then that can also make it very easy to feel where it should be with the visual. And it's a better way to learn whenever you kind of get those two to kind of match up, as well as you can do a little bit of auditory as well, which he's kind of doing right here. Let's continue.
The meat of the palm there, okay? Now the second is if you look at your lead thumb, okay, and you just extend out your thumb like that, you'll see like a gap between the joints there. Okay, you can see the two bones kind of right between that. That's where you're going to place the dot, just right there. So it should look something like this, okay? Or just kind of straight along the thumb, but kind of near the wrist, all right? So again, once you have that dot that's on your palm there, okay? So you're going to place that dot directly on the front of the handle, okay? So a lot of people make the mistake by gripping it first and then trying to adjust it. But I want you to place that dot on the front first. So it'll be like almost as if you're putting your palm down on the front of the grip first. Then you're going to grip it in your finger.
Okay, so like I was saying earlier, he's teaching you an incredibly strong grip at this particular point. And I think it's really based off the particular clients that he typically teaches. They probably really struggle, not necessarily weak grips, but maybe really struggle just with closing the face in general. So if you get the person in an incredibly strong position with the grip, yes, it's going to have a pretty strong correlation to their ability to close the face. I completely get it. Now, it's probably going to lead into a lot of hooks, right? And that's going to be something they probably eventually need to change. But, you know, this is kind of that quick fix, that Band-Aid approach that he's teaching you right now. And he made that very clear at the beginning of the video. So, you know, no issues here on my end. But just something you should think about when you guys are going to try something like this.
Fingers, okay? The left thumb should be not down the center of the shaft, or the grip, but a little bit more along the side, okay? Now, when you look down at the dot that was over your thumb, that should be appearing more to the right of your grip.
Okay, I like that. A lot of clear visual checkpoints. I think if you're just using a camera, if you take a look at this little V, American V that the thumb and kind of this pointer finger make right here, notice how that's going to be lined up to kind of his trail shoulder. Visually, if you were just checking this on a camera, you could just do it that way. That would be the way that you want to check. And then also, if you didn't want to draw the dots, you could just look down, and if you can see about 3 to 4 knuckles right there, that could be a visual checkpoint that you use without the camera. You don't necessarily need the dots, but I do like the dots, and I think obviously not a lot of people are going to take the time to actually go ahead and draw these, but for the most part, it's a great visual checkpoint, and it gives you very clear checkpoints that you should follow as well.
On the right edge of your grip. If you look down and that dot is kind of more along the center of your grip, okay, or even to the left of your grip, your lead hand is not strong enough, okay? So again,
and to be clear, not strong enough for where he wants it, right? Which he's putting you in an incredibly strong position. So you pretty much guarantee that you're not going to hit maybe a slice, right? With that type of grip, it's incredibly strong.
That dot in your palm, place it on the front of the handle first, then the fingers, okay? Make sure that dot is along the right edge. So that's going to make your grip a lot more strong, and it's going to make it much easier for you to close the club face through impact so that you reduce the slice. Okay, so number
sure, but
two
you're probably gonna hook
is
it.
I want you to pay attention to where your upper body is relative to your lower body.
Okay, so this part of the video, he's going to start to kind of get into the backswing pivot specifically, and I really like the concept here because I do see this quite often with people who slice the golf ball. So everyone listen up closely and we'll break it down as well.
Okay, Now, the biggest mistake that I see with a lot of players, with driver especially, is when they get to the top, they try to make this big swing, but they get their shoulders more towards the target.
All right, let's stop it there. So shoulders maybe is not the best way to think about it. It's more so the sternum or kind of the buttons of the shirt here. So if you take a look at the sternum here or the buttons of the shirt relative to where the center of the belt buckle is or the center of the pelvis, you can note that the sternum is ahead of the pelvis, right? Maybe the angle there is right around 10, 15 degrees. So we would call that a reverse pivot. And kind of the issue with the reverse pivot is because your upper body is so far ahead of your lower body, what happens is as you start to swing down, typically that separation will, yes, reduce, right? And you're going to start to move to a position where the lower body should be slightly ahead of the upper body. But because your starting point was so far off, typically it's going to mean that the overall direction of the swing will be much easier to shift out and then across. And then it's going to be easier to get that club path to the left, right? So for the person who is hitting a slice out to in, this could be something to check for. And I do see a lot of slicers have something very similar to this as well. So this is a great point here.
Or more to the left relative to where their hip is, okay? Now, if your goal is to get the swing direction more on an in to out path to help reduce the slice, if you get your body in this position, or what's more called the reverse pivot position, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible for you to get the club swinging in to out. So you're very, very likely to swing the club more out to in, which is what we don't want. That's going to create more of a slice. So when you take it back, just be aware that you want to keep your upper body more away from the target relative to where your lower body.
So let's stop it there. So what he's meaning by there is exactly what I said, except for opposite earlier. So the buttons of the shirt are actually now behind the center of the belt buckle or the center of the pelvis. So there's an angle here now that's right around 20 degrees, but on the opposite side. That's a lot more where you want to be with the driver, right? You want that separation amount because, again, not only do you want the direction of the swing slightly off to the right, we also want to be hitting up on the golf ball as well, which is going to help you get a little bit more distance. So this is a great relationship in general, just for any driver swing that you would want to have. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So I think the most important point was we need to get the face angle closer to the club path. Now, he specifically said you want to get the face angle close to the club path, which I do agree. If you want to completely change the curvature to a draw, you can definitely do that. But I don't think you need to hit a draw to cure your slice. I think you really just have to get the face angle closer to the path to where if you're still curving it off to the right, it's just a lesser amount. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to control. I think that's maybe the better approach to think about. So when it comes to actual real data numbers, face to path, maybe your face to path right now is +5 or greater. If you can get that to +3 or less, you're probably going to have a great chance of still curving the ball maybe a little bit to the right, but being much more manageable and easier for you to go about doing that. So when it comes to, I think, the quick fix approach, if you want to go out to the course tomorrow and fix that, I wouldn't necessarily be trying to fix path at all. I would be focusing much more on the face angle. And specifically, yes, you could change the grip. I think that would be a quick fix approach and maybe that would work for you. But also I would be more heavily focused on kind of the wrist angles and conditions that you're using throughout the backswing and the downswing. Because that for most people, that's going to be the better way to actually go about fixing that face angle. But if you guys want to watch the whole video, because there's a lot more on this video, you can sign up for the membership site. Also, if you want to get access to 330 other videos, and we post about 20 videos every single month to that site, make sure to sign up for the Kiwi Platinum membership site. It really supports this channel. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.